Hey, what is up, guys? So we are going to be going over why these cards are banned. This is going to be the last installment of that, and we're going to be going over the traps. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, we have Crush Card Virus. Now this card was a prize card when it actually first came out. Probably one of the best prize cards ever to actually come out into the game. I really feel like Dark Hand was pretty good, but nothing really compared to Crush Card Virus. This card was absolutely amazing. Plus, when it got reprinted, it was still a very expensive card. Actually, short printed it in Gold Series. But anyways, let's go ahead and read the effect because it is pretty old and it has an amazing effect. So you tribute one dark monster with 1,000 or less attack. Check all monsters your opponent controls. That means face down as well. Your opponent's hand and all cards they draw until the end of your opponent's third turn after this card's activation, and destroy all monsters with 1,500 or more attack. So that absolutely destroys the game. Now, you know, the game has changed throughout the course of Yu-Gi-Oh! And now, you know, there's a lot of small monsters, for example, like Rescue Rabbit, that have great effects that, you know, under the effect of Crush Card Virus. However, it would still be pretty devastating to the game. You would be destroying all the elemental dragons, although that technically doesn't hurt them too much because they can still banish from the grave. But the card is absolutely game breaking. I mean, if you activate this against Fire Fist, what are they going to do? Everything that they really have other than Rabbit is going to be over 1,500 attacks. So this card would absolutely destroy, you know, even like the lower tier decks. This card is just absolutely too good. Some of the cards that people used to use with Crush Card Virus were cards like Plexbar Zombie, Necro Gardenet, Sangan, DD Crow. I remember Adam Korn, which is a really good Yu-Gi-Oh player. He was playing Gladiator Beast, and I saw him playing DD Crow in there, and I was like, what's going on? And then when he had Crush Card, I was like, oh, okay, I gotcha. So Crush Card, I mean, you pretty much fit it into every deck. Even though Gladiator Beast isn't a deck, I would say, that runs a lot of, like, you know, viable dark monsters. Crush Card was absolutely too good. If you were able to pull off, you know, if you had Crush Card, if you were fortunate enough to own one of these bad boys, and you played it, you know, you have to play it, like, if you have access to it. I mean, why not? The card is absolutely devastating. It wins games on its own. It's one of those, like, win condition cards. But, yeah, awesome card. I don't think this card will see any play because, you know, it's banned, and I don't see it coming back anytime soon. But hey, who knows? Blackluster came back and everyone was so worried about it, and look at it now. It's not even tier anymore. It's like oh, it's one of those like tier 2 decks right now. But next up we have Exchange of the Spirit. Now this card really allowed you to pull off FTKs, OTKs. There's so many you know, ways to win with Exchange of the Spirit. But basically you pay 1,000 life points and you have to have 15 or more cards in your graveyard, and you swap the cards in their graveyard with their deck. So if they don't have, you know, any cards to draw, they would essentially lose. So you just need to go through your cards. Spellbooks can do it real quick. Lightsworn can do it real quick. There's so many decks. Dark Worlds, sometimes, you know, if they go fast enough with card destructions and stuff like that, they might be able to pull it off, but it just needs 15 cards. It doesn't have to be monsters or anything like that. So yeah, you can activate it pretty fast, especially in this day and age where Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gotten so fast. But yeah, it opens up a lot of FTKs and OTKs, and those are never fun to deal with. Next up, Imperial Order. Now, this card's very annoying. I remember in one of the video games, the computer would always have this card, and it's just like, oh no. Whenever they activated it, it was always when you had, like, you know, some power card, and there'd be like Imperial Order, and you're like, well, I better turn off the game. But anyways, it's a continuous trap card that says, negate all spell card effects on the field during each of your standby phases, pay 700 life points, or destroy this card. Now, it almost be fair if it, you know, stopped everything forever, like kind of like Royal Decree. But here's the thing with Imperial Order: you can go and activate all your spell cards, and then be like, okay, my opponent wants to activate something. Nope, and then it comes back to your turn. You can choose if you want to pay 700 life points or not. And at that point, you don't even have to pay each time they activate something like Realm Oppression, where each time they special summon, you have to pay 100. This is just pay 700 life points during each of your standby phases. So you can negate all the spells you want, and then when it comes to your turn, you just say, oh, no thank you, I don't want to pay that 700 life points, I would rather destroy this card. Now let me go ahead and activate Regeki, or, you know, Harvey's Feather Duster, all of the cards, and then you absolutely ruin your opponent's day. So this card, it reminds me of Ophion. Ophion being like that card where it's like, oh, let me get out my boss monster? Okay, now you can't get out your boss monster. It's kind of one of those playstyles, and those are very annoying for anyone to really deal with. Obviously, Ophion, not nearly as, you know, potent as something like Imperial, but I almost wish the card came back shortly. You know, maybe for just one format real quick, just to absolutely destroy spellbooks, because if this card was legal, like, you activate against spellbooks. I mean, Naturia Beast is already a problem, but very dirty card against spellbooks. But next up, we have Last Turn. Now this card, oh, it's so annoying. Let's go ahead and read it because it kind of has a long effect. So, you can only be this card can only be activated during your opponent's turn when your life points are 1,000 or less. Select one monster on your side of the field and send all other cards on the field and in the respective owner's hand to their respective graveyards. After that, your opponent selects and special summons one monster from their deck in face-up attack position and attacks your selected monster. Any battle damage from this battle is treated as 0. The player whose monster remains alone on the field at the end phase of this card wins the duel. Any other case results in a draw. So there's actually a card that a lot of people used to, use this in combination with. Jowgen the Spiritualist. I don't know if Fossil Dino was out at that time. I don't remember what set he came out in, but Jowgen was a card that you used to use last turn with. Basically what you do is you would have something where they couldn't special summon monsters, and then you would basically just have a monster, and then since it says, where is it? It says after that. There we go. Here's the key word. After that, they special summon. Your opponent gets to special summon one monster from their deck, and usually you just be like, oh, you can't special summon. Now you just automatically lose. And yeah, your life points have to be 1,000 or less. True. But it's just annoying to deal with, and I'm not really a fan of any cheap little win like that. It's just one of those cards where it was very annoying when you lost to it. But next up, Ring of Destruction. Now this card actually has two different artworks. This is the OCG artworks. They put grenades on it, and I actually really like the TCG artwork for this. It's got fire all over the ring. I think it actually looks kind of cooler. But anyways, this card's effect is target one face-up monster on the field to destroy that target, and if you do, inflict damage to both players equal to the target's attack. So what happened was you would attack for a lot of damage, you'd set this, and then as soon as their turn started, you'd be like, Ring Destruction, you lose. It was just like, oh, cool, that was fun. It just allows you to inflict lots of points of damage. Now, there is a card that has kind of like the same name, and it's not as good, but there's Destruction Ring. So you destroy one face-up monster on your side of the field, and you only inflict 1,000 points of damage. But it inflicts both players, so obviously it'd be bad if it only inflicted damage to you. But it's just like a very small version of Ring of Destruction. Obviously, Ring of Destruction, so much better. But there's also Pyrex, which kind of has the same effect. Where is it? When this card is special summoned, you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if you do, both players take damage equal to half the original attack. So obviously they don't want the full damage of Ring of Destruction. This card was just too good, but like I said, it's basically the ability just to push really hard, and then if you have a big monster on board, you could secure yourself with game. Another card kind of similar, again, to like the whole Imperial Order, where it was kind of like dirty. Now, I used to really advocate this card. I'm like, this card's got to come back. Anti-meta needs this card. It was great in anti-meta. But the thing is, now that, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gotten so fast, how it works is... Well, let's go over the effect real quick. I apologize. I should read the effect first. So, I should say neither, but it says either player... Oh, no, never mind. It's either player can pay 800 life points to negate the special summon of a monster and or effect that special summons a monster and destroy those cards. Now, what that means is it negates inherent special summons plus cards that bring out cards. Something that brings out a card would be something like Lumina Lightsworn Summoner. She's activating her effect to special summon a Lightsworn. You pay 800 life points, they still pay the cost. Lumina no longer gets her effect, and she's also destroyed. So it's a really good card. Now, I used to want this card to come back because, it was a fantastic card in anti-meta. However, there is a problem with this. What would happen, if any of you guys played back in the X-Saber days, when you would go off, then you would set Royal Oppression, and then your opponent would go, and then you would be like, okay, well, you can't special summon, but I've already got my monsters on the field. It was very, very annoying to deal with, and, same thing in this day in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you get out, like, Ophion to set Oppression, it's just like, well, you basically lose. I mean, Ophion itself is already one of those cards where it plays the, I get out my big monster, you can't get out yours game. But Royal Oppression was one of those cards where you can put it in anything. When I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I even put this in Lightsworn, like, this is my card. Actually, the next card was also a card that I put in the stable. These two cards were BFFs. Like, these cards were just so good in the game. Next up, which is Trap Dash Shoot. So, you activate it when your opponent has 4 more cards in their hand, and you look at your opponent's hand, and you select one monster card, and you return it to the owner's deck. Now, that opens up a lot of great first turn advantage plays. There's a lot of players in the game that you used to love just, waiting, for your opponent to, maybe they have 3 darks in grave. You want to activate Trap Dash Shoot when they have 3 darks. Maybe later on late game, they go for Heavy Storm. They're going to go for a big push, because they're going to, special something. You activate Trap Dash Shoot, disrupt their play because they activate Giant Tornado, Cold Wave, Heavy Storm. I remember I used to save this card for when Cold Wave was a legal card because, once you get Cold Wave, you got to get rid of a key card. One card that was really popular, that was legal when Trap Dash Shoot was legal, was the whole Rescue cat, especially in X-Sabers. When X-Sabers, they would go for like a Cold Wave, or I think Tornado was legal at the time, or was it Heavy? One of them was or were both of them legal? I don't remember exactly at the time. But when they would go for something like Heavy, Cold Wave, Churnade, you would activate Trap Dash and you know they're going to have Cat. Like when they're going for that big play, they're going to go for that, and then you can disrupt their play, and it does hurt them a lot. But, it's kind of strange that we still have Drag Down at 3 because, apparently seeing your opponent's hand is too good, right? But, that's a spell card. That's faster, and you can hit, Drag Down doesn't have any restrictions. This can only hit monsters, where Drag Down, you can hit Monster Reborn, you can hit Dark Hole, you can hit, power cards in the game. But, Trap Dash is still one of those cards where it nets too much advantage first turn. A good player can always look at your opponent's hand and just decide, okay, I know exactly what you're going to do. I know what cards you're going to set. I know what cards you're going to use, 2 turns later. In the right player's hand, this card is absolutely devastating, and, pretty much it just steals games in, competitive play once, the good player has activated, especially turn 1. But there are, like I said, players like to save it for, bigger plays. Lastly, we have Time Seal. So it's very simple. Skip the draw phase of your opponent's next turn. Now, I was like, oh, it's just a chainable. But here's the thing. Now that we have Tsukiyomi legal, because at one point Tsukiyomi was banned not too long ago, and I was like, Tsukiyomi, that card could come back. Like, why not? And it's at 2 right now. And it actually is, okay now, because it gets rid of certain things. One card that gets rid of, what is it? What's Dark Arm's defense, isn't it? 11? I gotta check it. It's 1,000, right? Because her attack is 1100. I just remembered Tsukiyomi got rid of Dark Arm. Like, it just flips Dark Arm face down, it kills it. But, Time Steal can potentially open up things with Tsukiyomi, because Tsukiyomi is a spirit, and her effect, it just targets a face-up monster and it flips it back face down. So, if your opponent doesn't have any cards that they can use, technically, if you have Mask of Darkness, if you have Tsukiyomi, and you have Time Seal, which is kind of a hard combo, because Tsukiyomi, what are you going to do? Main deck double Tsukiyomi just so you can pull off this, plus main deck Mask of Darkness? Realistically, it's one of those hard combos to pull off, but it sets up a lock. Locks are lame. There actually is another card that sets up a lock. But it's kind of too hard to pull off. It's called Fenrir. Basically, what is it? I'm going to read this card's effect. So what is it? Special summon by removing 2 water monsters from play. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, your opponent skips his or her next draw phase. There's some card in combination with Fenrir that can make a lock, but it's too difficult to pull off. And, with the way I look at it, Time Seal, if anything would come back on here, as far as the ban list, I don't think Time Seal is. It's a really hard combo to pull off, and I'm glad it's gone. But potentially if it came back, I don't know if it would actually change the metagame. Maybe someone would try to figure out some other loop with Time Seal, because activating Time Seal over and over is pretty unfair if you can successfully activate it. But the way I look at it, Mask of Darkness also needs to survive, and he's only got 400 attack. So if you're playing a decent deck and you have multiple cards in hand, I don't know what you're doing, allowing Tsukiyomi to get on the field with Mask of Darkness and Time Seal. It's too inconsistent the way I look at it. But like I said, it does have the potential to have a lock, and that's probably why it is gone now that Tsukiyomi is legal. But that is it for why all these cards are banned. We can check out one of these in the future once they update the ban list, and we can go over a reason why. Because there's always new players jumping into the game, and they might not realize why these certain cards are banned. They might not know the combos or the FTK or OTK behind some of the cards or the combos. And it's great to just understand the mechanics of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because perhaps in the future when we get one of these cards that will have a similar effect, we can we already know how to. Straight off the bat, we already know how to abuse the card. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Oh, actually, let me know in the comment section below what card, if any of these cards, you think could come back. Personally, for me, I don't know. I feel like if anything can come back, it might be something like Royal Oppression, even though I don't want this card to come back, simply just because it's kind of those cards where, it's one of those cards where it's like, I special summon, okay, now you can't special summon, and you essentially just win the game. But you do have to pay 800 life points, so if your opponent can just keep on specialing, maybe they're playing E-Dragons, they can keep on special, and then you'll just pay yourself to death, which, can happen. But I feel like maybe Time Seal, maybe, that's the one for me. But, a lot of players were thinking Crush Card could come back, but I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyways, like I said, have a great day. Asian Eyes, signing out.